into the hat. It's just... whoa, all right. So we have got... Gus, the Sydney Swans had a much improved last year, like the Bombers did. Can they go again? What are your thoughts?
I think another interesting team. Of course, we've said about all of the teams in this middle bracket so far, but it's because you could see teams from fourth to 13th finishing in pretty much any order. Like, it wouldn't be that shocking to see any iteration of that group. Sydney is probably one of the ones along with the Bombers that you would say have one of the highest ceilings. They should definitely be in that conversation for that fourth spot. Although Callum Mills is still not back, he was a massive reason they did take a little bit of a leap last year, moving into the midfield. Lance Franklin, who knows how much they've got left out of them. Tom Papley apparently had a little bit of a hamstring strain in the practice match against GWS. Yeah, so there are already those injury issues creeping in. We know who Isaac Heaney is not exactly the most reliable in terms of his body either. So there are already those problems creeping into the side. That being said, they still have Dane Rampy, Luke Parker, JPK is still somehow running around as an elite inside midfielder. They still have really, really good players, Lloyd. So I think that their floor is higher than most other teams in this group too. I think I'd be pretty surprised if they missed the 8, to be honest. And I think top 4 is. I think they and GWS probably have the inside running for that 4th spot in the top 4. If you were going to twist my arm and say who's most likely to finish 4th, they'd be the 2 that I would sort of look at. Again, it comes down to luck a little bit. But what do you reckon? Do you think that's pretty fair?
Look, I loved what the Swans did last year, and I think they have a lot of good young players. But it's similar to Port Adelaide. They have a really good young group. So I'm talking Campbell, Goulden, McDonald, Blakey,
the 1920,
Florent, Warner. And then a really solid older core who we know, like Buddy, Franklin, Josh Kenny, they're all-time greats. But I'm not sure that there's that group in the middle that necessarily is going to see them improve a lot this year.
But Heaney and Mills are in that middle group now. Like, that is the middle group.
Yeah, but they're already stars.
You mean players to take the lead. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I'm just not convinced. Look, I'm basing this sort of on, I'm looking at the teams from the top 8 last year, and I don't see who's going to miss. Like, there's a lot of teams in there who are either already awesome and are going to continue to be awesome, or are improving, like Sydney, like the Bombers. So I think Sydney are vulnerable because someone's going to drop out. Probably 2 teams are going to drop out, and I'm just not convinced that Sydney have enough natural improvement left in them with this current mid-tier group that they'll actually be able to maintain their spot and not be overtaken. So it sounds pessimistic. It's not. I'm still optimistic about where they're at, and I think that they're going to have a really good team in a couple of years. But I don't know whether, their squad in 2022 is going to improve enough to be able to... Because you've got to get better. Like, you can't stagnate. You'll miss out. So if they stagnate, they'll miss out. I think if they have a poor run with injuries, like you alluded to, there's already a couple of issues that could hurt them. If they have a really good year with injuries, then I think they'll still probably slot into the 8.
Yeah, their best 22 is good enough, but probably the depth of their list isn't. So, yeah, I think you're right.
Pretty excited to see the McCartan boys down back. I think Paddy was very good in his first hit out against the Giants the other day, and then that I think that's quite likely. They've got Lewis Melican down there, who's sort of been in and out of the side for most of his career. Dane Rampy, I think, is much better off as the who's my man?
Lewis Melican is he? You love it. You read a poem out to him like last year.
Well, I didn't write it.
Yeah, but you read it out.
Thanks to Damien Bellasone for that one.
Great book.
Yeah, so I I think that it's quite likely that Tom and Paddy McCartan are the key pillars in their defence round one this year. Certainly Tom will be because he's a gun, but I think Paddy could be there too, and that would be pretty cool to see both of them holding down those key position spots. Up forward, I think it's quite an interesting watch because they've got, obviously Buddy's going to play, but then they've got McDonald, Hayden McLean, Tom Hickey, Peter Laddams they brought in. Joel Amardi played a lot of good footy last year as well, and that's before you even factor in Sam Reid, who, it just continues to survive. So there is 6 or 7 guys that could be in the best 22. So I'm going to be pretty interested to see which way John Longmire goes with that, because there's lots of options. I think that McDonald should be invested in, obviously, and Buddy's going to play, and probably Laddams, they brought him across. But there's a bit of depth there. So, yeah, something to keep an eye on.
That confusion between John Longmire and Justin Longmuir is the most you're getting, Freo fans, so suck it up.